What's up? We're going to be talking about these bad boys now. I can just fly away with these things. I'm like a bad boy. This thing is called your pinna or your oracle. And we're going to be talking about what all this does. So let's get into it. We're going to draw a little bit out of the ear anatomy. And this boy, draw this big. Like if you're doing this in a notebook, turn that boy sideways. We're going to draw this whole thing. It's going to be kind of wide. And notice I'm calling this ears and not just hearing as our last sense here that we're talking about. Boop boop beep doo. Okay. So let's draw that outer part. Where do I want to start this? Let's start right down here at the lobe. You know, ears be looking something like this. It kind of goes in. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, right, and they got some like, folds and convolutions and stuff. Like so. I'm not going to draw all of them, but a little something like that. It's not the best. It's not terrible. Could be better. Okay. Like I said, this part is called the pinna or the auricle. And it is made out of cartilage. Oh, it's not made out of bone. That's why it's soft like that. I can bend it. This is also the outer ear. I guess I don't really care that you guys know that's outer, inner, whatever. Okay, pinna or auricle. All right. And down here, we got a sick fucking jewel, bro. We got a sick jewel. It's a sick jewel. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we got one of these. I don't know. This got a name. But we got a little freaking... All right. I'm getting a little crazy. All right. We don't need none of that. Okay. Now on the inside, we got our skull a lot. We got bone, obviously. So I'm going to draw that in. So this is bone. And it kind of scoops down as such. Down like that. And this part kind of fills like there's like a little pocket here. Like so. And then this kind of goes up. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. So this would be bones, part of our skull. This would go up. This would go up. There'd be like living tissue on the side of that too. This would be bones, part of our skull. All right. Now, right here, we got ourselves a little sealer dealer. This is a little membrane. This is called your tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane. Or your eardrum. Tympanic membrane or your eardrum. Okay, now this bad boy connects to 3 little bones. Okay, and the first one looks like a little hammer. Kind of looks like a little person too. Looks like a little hammer like that. And I kind of want to color in this part. Looks like a little hammer. Like so. Okay. Then we got a part that looks like a little place for the hammer to hit. Looks like a little anvil maybe. That's what hammers hit if you're making stuff. Okay. Boosh. And then it connects to another little bone that looks like a little place you'd maybe put your foot if you were to ride a horse. Looks like a little stirrup. like that. Boom, boom, boom. We got our 3 little bones. This thing is called the malleus. Malleus. The hammer. These are the smallest bones in your body. They're also not connected to any other bones. Other than these, this here is the incus or anvil. And this is called the stapes or the stirrup. And these are all called the ossicles. Stirrup. All the 3 of these are your ossicles. So I'm going to do that like ossicles. Ossicles, I think that's how you spell it. Maybe 1 S. Ossicles. Is that correct? Nope. I gotta look up how to spell that. I don't know how to spell it. I'm such a terrible speller. Ossicles. Ossicles. Bones. Look at that. I spelled it right. This Google just doesn't know what an ossicle is. It's 2 S's. Just like I had it. Ossicles. Yeah. Yeah. Ossicles. Look at that. I know how to spell. You know, I know how to spell. Computers don't know how to spell. Okay. And now this connects to one of the most fascinating parts of your body. It really is. Get ready for this. Okay, so the stirrup kind of connects to another little membrane. So it goes from one membrane to 3 bones to another little membrane. Okay? And this membrane is attached to a crazy thing. An absolutely bonkers little thing, which looks like a snail. Like so. Okay? And I'm missing a little piece here. I need to seal the deal here with the top. Okay, so we got a tiny little snail. And there's also another tiny little window here. Another tiny little membrane right there. Boop, bitty, bitty, boop. Okay. And coming up off of this, I don't have another color that I like to usually do, so I'll do it in purple. Coming up off this is little nerves. Like so. It's not the best. This is your cochlear nerve. Cochlear nerve. And this is your vestibular nerve. Vestibular nerve. Okay? Vestibular nerve. Okay, so this thing here is your cochlea. That's your cochlea. 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 Looks like a snail. It's crazy. Okay? This little part here, this is the round window. And we'll talk about what these do. Round window. Talk about what these do in a second. And this is a oval window, the oval window. Let me see what else I want to label here. I think I got, these are semicircular canals. There's actually 3 of them, semicircular canals. Pretty Nifty stuff. Yeah. Ha. Okay. It's a pretty good. Oh, this guy is a eustachian. Eustachian 2. It's funny how many things in science could be like eustachian 2. Ha. It's all science is based on future trap music. I don't know if you knew that, but that's how it was all designed, was so that every word could be used in a trap song. Okay, let's talk a little physiology, and then we're actually going to take this snail and we're going to flatten it out. But let's just talk a little physiology here, a little function, what's going on here. So what happens is out here we've got air waves. That's what sound is. I'm bending airwaves by pushing them over my pharynx, causing these oscillations in the air, right? So air waves come in, and they wiggle this membrane. So the air waves wiggle. Let me just put it down here. All right, this little thing wiggles back and forth ever so slightly. Or eardrum. Wiggles from airwaves, aka sound. Okay? And then that wiggles the ossicles. So this little hammer wiggles back and forth, and it beats on the incus, which then wiggles back and forth, which then pulls on the stapes, which wiggles back and forth, which then wiggles. So these are all wiggling. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Which then wiggles, guess what? The whole window back and forth. Which then causes wiggles to go down the snail tail. And they go all the way down, and then they come all the way back, and then they wiggle out the round window, and they can dissipate out down the eustachian tube, let's say. That's pretty crazy. Okay, that's how you hear stuff. And now we're going to talk about what this thing is doing. This cochlea, this snail that lives inside your head that allows you to hear. So the easiest way I think to understand this is if we take it, and again we're going to draw this nice and big. Okay, so I want you to draw this sideways. We'll do the best we can. I'm going to have to do some zoom ins and stuff, so you're going to have to draw some zoom ins. But you're going to know how you hear now after this, and it's pretty cool, and it also looks really cute. Okay, so we take our cochlea, and I'm flattening it out. So now instead of it looking like a snail, it's going to look like a cute little wormy boy. With like a little nose. Okay? And up here, it's going to have its semicircular canals. I'm only going to draw 2 of them. But remember, it has 3. And they're in different orientations. So one's like in that orientation. Another's kind of like turned on its side. See if that makes like 3-dimensional sense to you. I think it will. It looks not great, but not terrible. Okay. Then there'd be another one like even further down, but I don't want to make it too confusing. Okay. Now right here we would have that oval window. Right there. Bloop. Okay. And in the middle, there's kind of like a structure separating kind of the top from the bottom of the snail, or the worm at this point. Okay, that's good. And then we've got that round window right there. Okay. So far, so good. Love this. Okay. Let's go over here. And we're going to draw in our stapes. So we got our stapes, which looks like a stirrup, bloop, and it's connected to that oval window. So this is again the oval window. Right there. Stapes, or stirrup, and this is the round window. All right, pretty cool stuff's about to happen in your life, I promise. Pretty cool stuff. How the fuck do you hear? How did you just hear me cuss? I think this stuff's crazy. Okay, so remember this boy wiggling. This boy getting his wiggle on. Okay? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right, it's wiggling back and forth, and it's going to wiggle that oval window, which is going to cause vibrations, waves, to occur all up in here. Okay? And so the fluid in here is actually moving. Okay? And these are pretty high frequency, because the frequency means how tightly packed the waves are. So high frequency sounds are detected at the front, near the oval window, let's say. Detected near the oval window. And then what happens is out here, like all the high frequency waves will be absorbed there. The waves continue on. I'm not going to draw them all in here. But the waves continue on down through the tail. And when we get down here near the end, we got these bigger long waves. They travel further. Okay, so your low frequency sounds, low frequency or deeper sound versus frequency sounds are detected at the tail of the cochlea. Okay? Okay? And then the waves wrap around whatever's left. Wrap around. And they're dissipated out the round window. Okay? So this acts as an exhaust valve for the sound waves. Okay, so that's how you detect the different pitch sounds. Versus it's happening, where did I put it? High frequency sounds are happening up here, right around here, and like middle frequency sounds are happening here, and low frequency sounds are right there. Pretty crazy. It's happening inside of a snail, inside your ear. Right now you're hearing that because of a snail that lives inside your ear. Fucking weird, man. You were so weird, I can't even believe it. I'm cussing about it. I don't know what just happened. All right, let me go back in here. And then I'm going to talk about how do we actually interpret a sound. Okay, so we had these waves right here. Okay, so we're going to zoom in and draw a couple cells. These are called stereocilia. I'm just going to draw 3 cells. And we're going to delete, or sorry, not delete, we're going to add some nuclei to these bad boys. Okay? And this right here, you might want to draw in a whole new page. I have so many beverages right now. I got a coffee, a kombucha, and a water. Okay. These cells are crazy. All right. And like I said, you might want to draw this on a whole new page. A whole new page. All right, these guys got cilia coming up off the top of them. Cilia are just like little membrane protrusions that are full of microtubules. These are special little stereocilia, though. And it's really freaking crazy how these things, how you hear. It blows my mind still that this is how it works. Okay, so we got 3 of them there. These are actually all linked. These all have little channels on them. You guessed it. These ones are calcium channels. So little calcium channels. And these cilia are linked together via chains. And it's kind of loose and limp, like so. Because there's no sound happening. So no sound. Then when these sound waves come through, they're going to bend, they're going to push these cilia, right? The sound wave is going to push the cilia to the side. Like so. Just like blades of grass blowing in the wind or something like that. It's gonna blow them over to the side. Okay, when that happens, now our connections between these, rather than being, kind of loose like this, you see how these are loose? Rather than being loose, they're going to be tight. Right? We're going to have a tight linkage between them. And that's going to open our mechanically sensitive calcium channels. So that opens up our mechanically sensitive calcium channels because they're opened up like by stretch. Just like the same way your touch receptors were opened up by stretch. And now calcium ions are going to flow. You guessed it. Oh, that's tripping me out the way that's zooming in. It's doing it wrong. It doesn't really know what to do there. Oh, it's tripping me out. Wow. I feel like I'm in like the Critic cartoon or something. That's really trippy. Wow. Okay, let's see how it does with this then. Okay, so these calcium ions are going to flow in, and these are positive, so you guess what's going to happen. An action potential. An action potential. Which is going to send a signal to the brain. Yeah, these are all tripped. I found a tripped out space on this. This is all tripped out, bro. It's going to send a signal to the brain. Dude, that space is all tripped out. Okay? So now with sound, mechanically gated calcium channels open under stress, or under stretch, mechanically gated calcium channels open under stress. Okay, and this sends a signal to the brain. So these guys, are connected up to that cochlear nerve like so. And that's going to send a signal to the brain. Okay, I'm just going to recopy this and just bring them over here. And over here, what we're going to talk about is, let me make this a little smaller like that. Like this. Okay. And right here, what I'm going to talk about is high volume sound destroys, literally physically breaks, destroys your stereo cilia. Just breaks them. So if we listen to high volume sound, what's happening is it's like a hurricane. And it's just blah, 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 blah. Kills those. Just like a hurricane knocks down trees, loud sounds kill your ear trees. So you have tiny little trees living inside a snail, a tiny little snail. You are freaking weird, and that's how you hear. Okay? And when you listen to, loud, your earbuds at full blast, you are just destroying your ears. Trust me, I like heavy metal. I've been to a lot of heavy metal concerts. I like fucking rap music. I like loud stuff. But if I go to a concert now, I put in earplugs for sure. And one of the things that happens with hearing loss is your higher frequency sounds always go first. Higher frequency sounds always go first because they're right up at the front of your ear. So they're going to take the brunt of all the force. Okay? Then, that's pretty cool. Then our lower frequency sounds aren't absorbed as easily. They're absorbed down here through the stereo cilia. I'm not going to redraw that out. But if in the same way, like when you hear somebody with like a system roll down the street bumping, you don't hear like the lyrics or the treble. You hear the bass. Because the bass travels, it's not as easily absorbed. It travels through objects more. Like if you listen to a stereo in the other room, you hear the bass. You don't hear the high-pitched lyrics or the cymbal crashes. Because all that stuff's easily absorbed right up front by the wall and things like that and the carpet. Okay, the bass travels through things. All right, so that's what's going on there. Lower frequency sounds are heard at the tail. Okay, and then any extra will go out the round window, down the eustachian tubes, into your nasopharynx. Okay, two other little things that I want to talk about. And we'll just do these really fast. So these semicircular canals they're full of fluid and sense acceleration. They and allow you to sense acceleration. They allow you to sense acceleration. All right, and you have three of them, so you can sense acceleration kind of in this direction, like in this direction, and like in this direction. All right, and this is like, so what happens is you got this fluid in your ear, and when you like turn your head really rapidly, or you're like in a car and you're going, whoa, you sense that change because what's going to happen is, let's zoom in right here. Again, we've got little cells. I'm just going to draw these really simply. This is really freaking trashy, but it's okay. You'll get the idea. And these guys got, you guessed it, cilia. Very similar to hearing. And this fluid in here gets moving. Whee! Okay? And when that fluid moves, the cilia sense it. And you send a little nerve impulse down to the like vestibular nerve. Okay? So these little cilia on cells sense movement of fluid accelerating through semicircular canals. Okay, I spelled accelerating wrong, but it doesn't matter. Okay, and what's interesting about this is if I sit here and I spin around, I'm getting the fluid in my semicircular canals moving. Okay? And then if I stop, that fluid is still moving in my ears, and that's why you feel dizzy. When you spin around, you move the fluid in your canals. And when you stop, the fluid is still moving. And that is what makes you dizzy. It's pretty fun. So you can play with this. Play with this knowledge that you have. And all of this stuff is actually comes from your fish evolution. We have a thing called a lateral line as fish, and it's like a bunch of tiny little ears to measure pressure movements in water all along our sides. And some amphibians actually still have lateral lines, such as the frog that I studied, Xenopus laevis. And that's where all of this stuff evolved from our fish lateral line. And we actually have got one more little example of this, which is here in the vestibule, the little head of the snail. So we're going to let's draw it out here. I want this to be thin. And this is really freaking cool. So in here, this allows us to sense our orientation. So if we close our eyes, I can still know that my head is pointing up, or that it's pointing to the side, or if it's upside down, or bending forward. And that's because of this system in here. It allows me to know my orientation based on gravity. And so let's draw another little simplified version of this. So we got an underlying kind of tissue. And then we've got just some like supporting cells. Speed this up a little bit. These, of course, going to have some nuclei. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And then we're going to have some specialized ciliated cells. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so these are going to have cilia. Let's stick up. And they'll have their nuclei. We'll paint them in though. Okay, and these are going to have connection to the vestibular nerve. Okay. And they're encased in a gel. There's a gel-like substance. It's a gel. Okay? And embedded into the gel is something pretty cool. These are little bone crystals. So you got little mineralized bone inside of the head of your snail. These are called otoliths. And what these are doing, they're embedded into this gel. They act as weights. So these are heavy bone crystals called otoliths. Okay. So if I tilt my head, if I tilt my head back, let's say, These bone crystals will be pulled by gravity, and that will pull on the gel, and it will pull on the cilia. If I tilt my head, gravity will pull on the otoliths, which will pull on the gel, which will pull on the cilia, sending a signal to the brain. I cannot not talk like that. Sending a signal to the brain. All right, that's pretty crazy too. This is how you sense your orientation. It's by bones embedded in a gel in the head of a snail that lives inside your ear. All right, or it's a bone being pulled by gravity, bumping into a gel, bumping into a cilia. The way you sense acceleration, like go on a car trip or roller coaster, it's by fluid bumping into cilia. That's how you sense that. And the way you sense sound is by fluid also bumping into cilia. Literally, all of your senses are the product of things bumping into other things. I hope you enjoyed that. Those are your 5 basic senses. Humans may or may not have more. It's pretty interesting. Goodbye.